Yeah, let's start with the NBA draft. The Cavs traded out of the 29th pick.
Yeah.
They picked up a future second-round pick and the 34th pick from the Sacramento Kings. And with that 34th pick, the Cavaliers selected Meleek Thomas, the freshman guard out of Arkansas. He's a player we had mentioned in the lead-up to the draft as someone who had impressed the Cavaliers during his workout in Cleveland, a guy who was a five-star recruit coming out of high school, played alongside Darius Acuff Jr. at Arkansas under John Calipari. He was an on-ball creator in high school, played a little more off-ball at times due to playing with another lottery pick with the Razorbacks. Really good shooter.
He's got a flawed game, though, doesn't
scorer.
he? Doesn't play any defense, right?
He's not a bad point of attack defender in terms of realizing what's happening around him, getting caught ball watching. It certainly needs to improve. Koby Altman, after the draft pick, said at 34 at that point in the draft, you draft the best player available with the highest upside.
He doesn't
the guy
fit them position.
You think you could actually turn into something at some point over drafting for need. So Meleek Thomas is the pick for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He was consensusly ranked as a prospect in the 20s in the overall consensus big board. One website, consensusbigboard.com, puts together all the major, The Athletic, The Ringer, ESPN, all their big boards, makes a consensus ranking. He ended up as a 28th best prospect via the consensus, ends up going 34. So, Jason, when you look at some of the Cavs' needs, what their roster currently has, and what Meleek Thomas brings to the table, how do you think the Cavs did with this overall draft, going from 29 to 34 and picking up Meleek Thomas in the process?
That's the longest question ever.
Well, no, I gave a scouting report, then asked the question.
I think they looked and didn't think that they had anyone there who could fit the rotation and help them right away, and they bet on upside. And it's a duplicate of what they already have in spades on the roster. But, you know, to Kobe's point, I remember when the Cavs took Christian Ienga at the end of the first round because of upside and athleticism, and you're looking for like that one trait that maybe becomes something, and you could wind up with a Jalen Williams in that spot, or you could wind up with a Christian Ienga in that spot.
Yeah.
And we'll wait and see how this one goes.
I think Skyenga, remember? That's what they used to call him.
You know what I remember? I remember Byron Scott yelling out to him, "Christian, where is your man?" and Christian looking around going, huh?
You know, I think for what it was, I think you give the Cavs a good grade, right? You're very small chance that at 29 or 34 you're going to get a player you're like, wow, this is going to help our team. Right. They just played in the Eastern Conference Finals. So the main reason they trade out of the first round is for salary cap reasons. They give themselves the flexibility. They look and they see a high upside guy, and that's what this guy is. He can really score. You know, Calipari, blue chip recruit. Maybe he should have come back to college. Maybe it's surprising he didn't. I think he's probably a kid that always had in mind one and done.
Right.
Always thought he was a first rounder. 34, he basically is. So is he the same guy as 5 other guys on the roster currently? No, but I think I give the Cavs credit for taking the upside shot on what he might be in 2 or 3 years, and then you're like, wow, that's a really good draft pick. Again, that's a great way to frame it. Jalen Williams or Christian Skyenga.
Yeah, I mean, we there were some guys, obviously, like Zuby Ejiofor that we had our eyes on in the first round, and those guys didn't make it.
Right.
So once that was the case, then you saved a couple of million in cap space, which Mike has explained, obviously, that maybe that makes the difference between the first apron and the second apron. And I think once you're in the second round, especially now, like I feel like these days, a second round pick, while a long shot, is still more likely to hit than it was years ago when you like never hit second rounders. But the draft is deep. So the guy, I mean, we'll see. I was reading about him. They said he's not really a point guard. He doesn't play any defense.
Combo guard, yeah.
But the guy can shoot.
Right.
He can shoot, yes.
And he shot, 42% from 3?
41.6% from 3 and 47% from 3 off the dribble, which is the hardest part of a jump shot to kind of master. And he's by no means a master at it, but 47% as a true freshman is impressive. I was doing a live stream last night for this pick, and at 29, I kept saying, hey, Henri Veesaar from UNC, he's the guy I want. At 34, I didn't think he'd be on the board. He was still on the board.
Yeah.
The Cavs passed over on him. It turns out that his agent was telling teams, don't draft me. Just like the Cavs benefited with that situation in Tyrese Proctor last year, where they kind of forced their way to Cleveland because Cleveland was willing to offer them a fully guaranteed NBA contract. That's what happened with Veesaar. So it didn't seem like he was ever actually a possibility for the Cavaliers at 34.
Who drafted him?
He ended up going 51 to Atlanta, 52 to Atlanta. And the Lakers reportedly had guaranteed Veesaar. They were going to draft him at 53. Atlanta traded up one spot before him to take him. So he was never a realistic option if the reports are all true.
So Atlanta had a good draft, it seems like.
Atlanta did
Sure
between
seems
Zuby and
that way.
Veesaar. They got some guys and Kingston Flemings.
Yeah.
But Thomas is a legit upside pick.
Mhm.
And when you look at what the Cavs lacked in the playoffs last year was shot creation. Guys who can get their own shot or can create shot for others. Malik Thomas may never develop into a superstar, may never develop into a star. The one thing he brings to the table immediately, and I'm not saying he's going to play immediately, but the one skill set that he has right now, dude's a shot creator.
Yeah.
Cavs did not have enough shot creators.
I mean, a 19-year-old, I know he's about to turn 20 in like a month or so. Like a 20-year-old, one-year college player who's just a three-point shooter on this veteran team that's trying to win a championship. Is he going to play much, do we think?
This is about future versions
Yeah.
of this team, or even flexibility if
they make some trades.
They make some trades,
Yeah.
I'm not sure, your future backcourt, Malik Thomas and Bronny James.
Almost spit.
Oh,
you almost got me.
You could put the three out there, running gun.
This is the appetizer for the main course, which is hopefully a significant trade, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at their roster now, they have, and count them with me because I can't do this in my head, Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, Dennis Schroeder, Max Strus, Sam Merrill, Craig Porter Jr., Tyrese Proctor, and Malik Thomas. You have 8 guards, all 6'5" or shorter. You have Jalen Tyson and Naquan Tomlin, 2 wings. Dean Wade's an unrestricted free agent, just like Keon Ellis. And then you have your 2 bigs, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley.
The other one they got from Sacramento. I can't think of his name.
He said Keon
Ellis is a free agent.
Did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a free
Ellis
agent.
is a free agent.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Ellis is a free agent.
What about that doesn't matter.
So you have 8 guards,
Yeah.
2 wings, 2 bigs right now. There's way too much overlap. To me, not saying this pick pushes you in the favor. I thought they're going to make moves anyway. But you can't have a roster with 8 guards, 2 wings, and 2 bigs. It's just not feasible.
Yeah.
So what's the move here?
Well, you're trying to sell off Schroeder anyway, right? We know that.
Schroeder, Strus is on the block.
I mean,
He's an expiring contract. Schroeder's the most likely to be dealt.
Schroeder always gets dealt.
Yeah.
Every team that gets him trades him.
Right, but you're probably going to trade 2, or you're probably going to move on from 2 of those guys. Are you not?
I mean, I think you would like to.
Yeah.
We'll see what's available. I think other draft moves that could impact it, with Dusty May going to Dallas, them drafting Merez Johnson, they now have a plethora of big wings between P.J. Washington, Merez Johnson, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively. They got
Mike's
a bunch.
name and name.
No, P.J. Washington is a legit target for the Cavs. That's an experienced.
A Strus for Washington trade is still my favorite.
Yeah.
1-for-1 offseason.
That gives you size, experience, shooting. That's a player that would be in the Cavs rotation.
Yeah. And we've been talking about him for a number of years.
I don't want to lose Max Strus personally, and I
Right.
think Max Strus, even without shooting it great in the playoffs, proved his worth. But this is the reality. He's an expiring
especially
contract.
compared to some of the other guys.
Yeah, he's an expiring contract guy who's a lot like some of the other guys.
Right.
You got to give something to get something.
Yeah.
That's true. And they need more size. And do we think they're going to bring back Dean Wade?
I think it's trending in that direction, yeah.
Did you see, what was the silly conversation we had? Isaiah Stewart for Max, wasn't that it?
Yeah, and he got traded
Stewart-
for 3 second-rounders.
Yeah, I wound up going for second rounders.
Mm-hmm.
3 second-rounders.
Yeah, that
And-
sounds
and-
like
and
a
Memphis
guy that
is
can be
bringing
back
back
on the market if
the,
it doesn't go well for
Yeah.
Memphis.
Memphis is bringing back the grit and grind. Draft Cam Boozer, Kareem Lopez, trade for Isaiah Stewart. That is not a team you want to get in a fight with.
How realistic? Chris Maddox mentioned, obviously, Jaylen Brown for Evan Mobley. So he's a legitimate reporter.
He was the first one that had the Darius Garland for James Harden
Right.
rumors, and obviously that was real.
I just came from your old stomping ground, so we had Chris on this morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And what did he have to say?
Tune in to 92 through the fan on the Odyssey app.
I think I had to get rid of the Odyssey app.
Yeah, he said, I said, he made it very clear in some of his reporting that Boston is very interested in Evan. I said, have you gotten any indication that the Cavs would be interested? And he said no.
Why would I don't understand.
What?
Why would the Cavs not trade Evan Mobley for Jaylen Brown?
Not that the Cavs wouldn't. He just has not gotten any indication from the Cavs side of things. I should clarify.
Jason, let me ask you this.
Why would the Cavs be aggressively pursuing this? I don't understand.
I don't know. I think the Boston is ready to move on from Jaylen Brown, so I don't know that anybody's aggressively pursuing. Right? It's probably fair to say these conversations definitely took place.
Well, you think maybe they're trying to like hold him up and some. I mean, how are you going to get Jaylen Brown?
No, I think you're shopping. I think you're looking. I mean, what's a fair trade for Jaylen Brown and who's interested?
There's very, very few, when you're talking at this level, there's very few matches.
Right.
Like, who are you going to, like, I never thought the Giannis thing was realistic. There's a lot of Evan trades have been thrown out that I don't put a lot of time in.
Yeah.
This one is different. This is, for both sides, I sort of see it for both sides.
Yeah.
But I also see, like, the Cavs defense takes a pretty significant hit without Evan.
But we know for them to win, they've got to have a better player than Donovan.
Which is why I would do this.
Yeah.
I would strongly consider doing this. But, there's danger in giving up Evan Mobley.
Yeah, but Jason, let me ask you this. If they really want to move on from Jaylen Brown, would you offer Donovan Mitchell for him?
You would offer him for the same reason Boston would say no to that. Boston, I don't think would take Donovan.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
But
I said yesterday I would drive Donovan to Boston myself and make that trade in a second. Right. But I don't think Boston would have the appetite for that.
All
I
the
think it has to be Evan
Boston
Mobley.
Is they want a big guy.
Yeah.
They don't want a guard. They want a big guy.
I understand. I get it. Donovan Mitchell's still a better player than Evan Mobley. Is he not?
Yeah.
Right now, he's a better. They're just so different. But right now, he's a better player. There's no doubt.
Right.
About it.
The Cavs' window to win is the next year or two. And then, bye-bye Harden, bye-bye Donovan.
The problem is your defense takes such a step back when you trade Evan Mobley. So then what are your next two moves to that? Because defense is already an Achilles heel.
Dean Wade. That's honestly that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have no recourse for
Jaylen Brown not a good defender at all?
He's okay.
I know he plays different positions.
He's better than Donovan and Harden, but that's not a very high bar.
But you got to score to win.
Yes, which is why I'm agreeing.
Yeah,
but there is doubt.
I feel like you're all so hesitant about this.
We all said we would do the trade, Bull.
Evan Mobley's a good player. Jaylen Brown's a superstar.
None of us here are saying we wouldn't do the trade.
I'm sensing some hesitation.
We all said we would do it yesterday.
Just said we'd do it.
Evan Mobley.
Of course, there's hesitation when you're trading someone you have under control for the next however many. He just signed, but because Brown still had, 3 years is a lifetime in the NBA.
Yeah.
So 3 years of Jaylen Brown, I'd be comfortable with. If it's 1 or 2 on Jaylen, 1 year, no. 2 years would be on the fence. 3 years, yeah.
Yeah. We all said you weren't here. You weren't here yesterday.
I hear you. It just seems like such a no-brainer to me. I don't know.
It's a disgusting, hideous fit offensively between him, Harden, and Mitchell, but you still
figure it out.
That's what I just said. You still do it.
But I do for someone like you. I think this is important to point out that someone who has just slandered Evan Mobley for years. This is now the Thunder and the Boston Celtics, two pretty high-functioning front offices that both say that's the guy. We want that. There's a reason the top teams in the league want him.
That's fine, Jason. And I have slandered him. That's fair. I've never said he stinks or he's not a good player. He's just not a great player.
I think he is a great player. I don't think he's elite of the elite. He's not a superstar.
Well, Jaylen Brown is.
He's higher on the list.
Okay. You're saying he's not a superstar?
He's not a superstar.
Is he a top 5 player in the league? No. Jaylen Brown's not a top 5 player in the league.
Is he 6th?
No. He's probably in that 10 to 12.
8 to 12 range.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
He finished 6th in the MVP?
Okay. But
Donovan finished 5th in the MVP last year.
Let me throw this thought out there.
Yeah.
Maybe the Cavs deep down know that it's not going to ever happen for Evan with them.
Right.
Yeah. Whether they think they haven't used him correctly or they think he'll never develop parts of his game or does whatever it is.
Yeah.
They still have to have hesitation about trading him because of what he brings defensively and what they're committed to in this small backcourt. Right, Jason?
I hear you. Just his defense has not made enough of an impact in the postseason for them, to me, that I couldn't trade him for it.
That's also fair, but it has to be the right deal that sets up the next move for them to have a chance defensively.
I think you would appreciate his defense more when he's gone.
By the way, in the Ringer Top 100,
yeah,
which they updated after the finals ended, Mitchell's 11, Jaylen Brown's 14, and Evans 24.
All right. Well, that's just one opinion, but still 14 is better than 24.
Well, it's the 12 NBA writers for The Ringer. They do a culmination thing. And I'm not saying I think...
Is Evan Mobley going to ever average 27 points a game?
No.
Probably not.
No, but you're not asking him to. That's...
Right, but there's flaws. There's clear flaws in his offensive game that Jaylen Brown doesn't have, right? I mean...
And there's strengths to Evan's game that Jaylen doesn't have.
I hear you, but I think Jaylen's strengths are...
We would all do this trade.
What's that?
We all agree with you. We're all doing this trade.
All right. Listen,
right?
I'm not
Jason,
saying give away Evan Mobley for a bag of baseball.
Yeah, I would do it. And again, it's a really, really short list of what is realistic. I mean, you can play fantasy basketball and come up with something, but what is realistic out there? There are very, very,
I
very
think it's
few.
this or nothing.
I agree.
Yeah.
And from Boston's side, it's not a short list of people, or it's not a long list of people that I think you would trade Jaylen Brown for. So it's going to be now that it's out there and that Boston is shopping them, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying the Cavs are the only option, but it's a short list.
Yeah, I mean, who else? Where else could they trade him? I mean, I'm sure they'd rather trade him to the West.
I think Boston's more concerned about getting the best player back they can than
that's it. I mean, is there a better player they can get than Mobley?
Better one for one? No, I don't think so. There's better.
Maybe you can get two guys.
I mean,
are worth more.
Anytime you have this type of conversation, I would put Atlanta in that because Atlanta has a ton of assets and a ton of young players. But Evan Mobley's better than anything Atlanta can offer in a one for one.
The only one for one upgrade would be Kawhi Leonard, I think, realistically speaking.
And I don't know that Boston would want to do that because Kawhi is so close to the end. And
he's not a big, and Brad Stevens just said we have to change the way we play basketball. We need a big man.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, is there final thing on this, and then we'll move on to the Browns and all their winning. Is there a big man that's a really good defender that the Cavs could acquire in a separate deal or free agency, or maybe not free agency? I don't know. Is there somebody you got your eye on, that could make up at least some of the defense they would lose from Evan Mobley in this trade?
They have no money.
Is there a trade they can make then?
They could trade for a backup.
So
big man.
You're asking if they make the Brown for Mobley trade. Yeah. What's you have Jared Allen.
Right, but he's not the defender that Mobley is.
He's a pretty damn good defender.
He is a really good defender.
You're looking at Dean Wade and Jared Allen. That's what
Dean Wade's the perfect four. In all honesty, Dean Wade's the perfect
PJ Washington, not a good defender?
He is, but no, not in the sense.
But he would help.
Would you?
I'm confused on what you're getting.
Well, I'm saying
he's looking for a name besides Dean Wade. Is what he's doing.
That's what he's doing.
PJ Washington,
which is fair. Which is totally fair.
The one concern you guys have about trading Mobley is that what you're losing on defense. I'm saying, is there another deal they can make where they can make up? Obviously, they can't make out a Paul. He's an excellent defender. But is there a defender you can get in a trade for a Max Strus or something like that can at least make up some of the difference?
PJ Washington would help. Dean Wade, in all honesty, is a really good fit at the four there.
You just can't. We've been through this. You can't play Dean Wade in the playoffs, guys.
I hear you.
Yeah.
But if you're starting Brown, Harden, and Mitchell together, 4 and 5 aren't touching the basketball.
But Mike, I could find another
they're
player.
Not touching the basketball.
I can find another player that can play the defense that Dean Wade can, who at least will be willing to shoot the basketball in a playoff game.
I don't know how much better defensively you're finding than Dean Wade. I'm being dead serious. Dean Wade's a really good defender.
And he's already here. And you don't have to give anything up for him.
I don't even know what to say to you anymore. Have you not watched this guy in the postseason?
We all have, yes.
He is scared to shoot the ball. You can't play a guy in the playoffs that's scared to shoot the ball.
Who's arguing? You're making straw man arguments here. No one's arguing that Dean Wade is an offensive threat.
So we got to find somebody else.
But when
I don't care if the other guy is a little worse defensively, but as long as he's good, if he's not afraid to shoot the ball, that makes a big difference.
He's never going to touch the ball.
Come on.
Jason, back me up with
this. Dean Wade touched the ball, didn't he?
Yeah, but Evan Mobley's usage rate was 18. Jaylen Brown's usage rate is 30.
I get it. The guy's going to touch the ball once in a while. And when he does, he's got to be willing to shoot and not scared and going to dribble around in circles.
Mike, I think what you said makes perfect sense. You make the trade, then
Yeah.
you trade Strus for PJ Washington, then you bring back Dean Wade to be your backup. Now your roster looks
All
different.
right. I'm fine with
Because you
Dean
get
Wade as the
Jaylen
back.
Brown, now Strus becomes, to me, much more expendable.
Yes. I'm fine with Dean Wade back as a backup, not as a starter.
Yeah, that's easy.
That's fine. You
he
want to
should
play
be your
Dean
back.
Wade for
Correct.
7 minutes in a playoff game? Okay. You can't play him for 20 minutes.
No one disagrees with you. We present the same
You're,
thing.
you're under suspicion.